AOPA has been there for me, whether I knew it or not, since I was a student pilot. The reason I get to do what I do is because people have been at AOPA, keeping the airspace open, keeping airports open, providing me the access to the hobby that became my career. AOPA literally changed my life, even when I wasn't aware of it. So I think I'm very fortunate to have the ability to support AOPA and its work, and I intend to do so for the rest of my life and beyond.
I decided to include a donation foundation to give back to sustain general aviation, and AOPA is an excellent way to keep general aviation going. I've enjoyed it so much during my life. I would like other people to continue to enjoy it and have access and have the ability for AOPA to advocate for them.
You really have to give back to what's given you something that's been so enjoyable in your life, for my life. I want them to know that I feel that, and I want it to be around for people. Young people today, it's much harder to get them involved. And I hate to see the pilot population go down for a lot of reasons. Just that general aviation is such a wonderful thing for this country.
My wife and I have spent time talking about what matters to us. And aviation is one of the most important things in my life. So what's the one thing I can do to ensure, to the best of my ability, that the generation coming behind me has the same opportunity? And that is invest, and invest is the key word. And the organizations that are committed and dedicated to preserving GA. And there's nobody more dedicated, more committed, or works harder than AOPA to ensure the future of GA. Nobody.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for this special event. And Mark, do you think we could have done any better on the weather here at the Frederick Airport? I mean, it's an amazing day. There's not even any wind.
Day, Melissa, and the background music is going to be provided by Cessna, Mooney, Beechcraft, and occasional helicopters. So let's have a good evening and celebrate aviation.
Let's do that. I'm Melissa Rudinger, the Executive Director of the AOPA Foundation. Next to me, of course, is Mark Baker, the CEO and President of AOPA. And joining us virtually is Barry Schiff, a name that's a legend in aviation, and I'm thrilled to have him here because he has a special role with us now. He is our new chairman of the AOPA Legacy Society. So thank you for joining us, Barry.
My pleasure. Delighted to be here.
Good. So we're grateful to have everyone here join us as we induct the 2020 Legacy Society members into the Legacy Society wall. And this is the first for us. We've never done this before, but I think it's important for us to recognize that we have these special members who remember us in their estate plans, and this is going to be an annual ceremony moving forward. We actually hope to have it in person next year and have some social events around it, so let's keep our fingers crossed that we can do that. The AOPA Foundation Legacy Society is a group of dedicated supporters who want to help create a brighter future for general aviation by including a gift in their estate plan. And legacy is so important that we established this legacy accord. It's front and center at the AOPA headquarters. And Mark, so you've been here, what, about 7 years? Something like that?
8 years this summer.
Okay, 8 years. This was conceived of and put into place under your watch. You were here for the ceremony that dedicated it. What's the genesis for this idea?
Well, I'm going to call out a couple of special people, and Ed McNeil, and I hope he's blushing, but Ed and Mike Lazar were kind of the coalescing group and forces that pull others, Lessings and Matt Dash and Dave Robertson, to fund, create the concept, and then execute this wall. And to Mike, and particularly Ed, I thank you very much for forcing this issue and making sure it happened in such an unbelievable way.
Yeah.
It's so inspiring. So that team really did it. Now we are on the map, and we're moving forward with Legacy Wall. It's
a beautiful space. We've used it as an outdoor office space during this pandemic occasionally. So it's just a really, really nice, pleasant area to be in. And this represents future contributions, and that they are significant and they are important, and they will fund AOPA's important programs that are building stronger, safer pilots and a stronger general aviation industry. And as of course I'm sure you know, the AOPA Air Safety Institute and all the wonderful You Can Fly programs are funded with donor dollars, and your foundation support is critical to our continued success. So why is legacy important to you, and what prompted you to join?
You know, Melissa, as we think about how lucky we've been in general aviation to fly the freedom to fly, and how AOPA since 1939, uniquely in the world, has provided that mission, that success, and that experience that is unequaled in the world. And for those of us that have been lucky enough to fly in the U.S. and had the opportunity to fly in other parts of the world, recognize how much AOPA has made a real difference. And if we can, as members of AOPA in our afterlife and paying it forward, can establish a way to have this legacy, this foundation move forward to inspire young people and generations to come. We're not an accidental, nearly 82-year-old association, and I want it to go on for another 82 years and beyond. So with these dollars we'll put to work, kids will experience aviation in a unique way as it goes forward.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And I want to point out, you don't have to be an older pilot or retired to include AOPA in your estate planning. In fact, it's important to have estate plans, regardless of where you're at in life, to protect yourself and your legacy and your family's legacy. So we certainly hope that as you do that planning, you consider us as a part of that plan. So I want to introduce Barry again. Barry, you don't really need an introduction, but I'm going to give you one anyway. You are a longtime AOPA member, obviously, a longtime columnist in the AOPA Pilot magazine, author of numerous books, winner of many awards, and certainly a record holder, I think at least 5 speed records. You've had a stellar career in the commercial aviation sector with over 28,000 hours, and have flown 360 different plus aircraft, everything from Lockheed Connies to 767s to probably every general aviation airplane in the fleet. And so, so I was thrilled when you said yes to being the legacy chair. And what I'd like you to do for us is tell us a little bit about why GA has been so important and what it's done for you in your life.
Well, when I first soloed, long time ago, really long time ago, I found it was the most freedom-causing event in my life. It was exhilarating. I just felt free. And as I did more and more general aviation flying throughout my career, especially in other countries, I found that pilots there did not have the freedom that we have here. And I think it's really important that we continue to make such freedom available to pilots of the future. I think it's really important. No country has the kind of freedom we have in many ways. And I think it's just desperately important that we maintain that into the future.
I think that's very well said, and I think it is important. We are unique in the world, as you say. So as the chair, essentially you're agreeing to make legacy a priority. And so I wondered if you could tell us why and what impact you hope to have in this role.
Well, I think I really began to say it. I think freedom is a priority, and anything we can do to assure that in the future. When I started flying, I was a kid who got walked around the airport and washed airplanes and did things that kids can't do today, and they're going to need a little help, especially since it's gotten so much more expensive. And AOPA has helped to do that. More importantly, AOPA makes general aviation possible. I'd hate to guess what it would be like in this country for general aviation if it were not but for AOPA. We have to keep it going.
Thank you very much. I think we all share that passion and that thought, and we love that we have such passionate aviators in this industry like you. Thank you. So it's now our honor to start the induction ceremony of the 2020 Legacy Society members on our recognition wall here at headquarters. We have 25 engraved plaques here in front of us. And what's going to happen is we are going to add these to the over 300 that are already on the wall. Mark and I will each read a name, and Becky will come in from behind and place the plaques on the wall. So Mark, you can start.
I can start, and it's Harvey W. Cohen, now from Florida, an AOPA member for 18 years, and all of you that have been involved with AOPA know how lucky we are to have had Harvey, continue to be in touch with Harvey, and happy to add Harvey to the wall.
The next is Lawrence D. Kopp and Patricia L. Weaver from Vermont. And Lawrence has been an AOPA member for almost 30 years. So thank you so much, Lawrence, for your gift.
Next is Scott Crosby from South Carolina, an AOPA member for 35 years.
And the next one is Paul and Barbara Diet, all the way from the United Kingdom. Paul has been an AOPA member for 25 years, and we appreciate that. Thank you, Paul.
Robert J. Donahue from Ohio, an AOPA member for 32 years.
Waymond W. Eckhart Jr. from California, an AOPA member for almost 50 years. I think that's a significant contribution to aviation. Thank you.
Gary F. Fett from Florida, an AOPA member for 32 years.
Oops. Walter Gonzalez from California, AOPA member for 5 years. Welcome, Walter.
Marguerite Harold from South Carolina, an AOPA member for 5 years. Thank you, Marguerite.
Gary Hurst and the Hurst Charitable Remainder Trust from California, an AOPA member for 22 years. Thank you, Gary.
Gustav C. Javison from North Carolina, an AOPA member for 40 years.
Chris Kirksey from Kentucky, an AOPA member for 22 years. Thank you so much, Chris.
Thomas M. Kuhn from Missouri, AOPA member for 17 years.
Vernon and Melody Murray from California, and Vern has been an AOPA member for 16 years. Thank you, Vern.
Daniel and Judith Nesmith from Arizona, who have been both AOPA members for 27 and 25 years, respectively.
And Dennis L. Oliver from Iowa, an AOPA member for, get this, 65 years.
Whoa, that's a winner. We do like that. Dennis, thank you. And Elizabeth Pena from Florida, an AOPA member for 5 years.
Isaac Rosenberg from Florida, an AOPA member for 15 years. Thank you so much for your support.
Somebody new to this, Melissa K. Rudinger from Maryland, an AOPA member for 29 years. Thanks, Melissa.
Thank you. Peter J. Ryerson from Ohio. He's an AOPA member for 27 years. Thank you, Peter.
M. Alicia Sykes from Pennsylvania, an AOPA member for 38 years.
And Mark, I think you might want this one.
Yeah.
Whoops.
So a pal that I talked to just recently, Pat Tracy from Missouri, an AOPA member for 44 years. Thanks, Pat. Another fellow that I know well, Peter J. Weidenhorn. I've got to figure out how many years he's been with us. I'll tell you how many. Only 45 years, Peter. Come on. Thank you, Peter.
Mr. Randy R. Wynn from Nebraska, an AOPA member for 16 years. Thank you, Randy.
William Zollinger from Florida, who is an AOPA member for 45 years before passing away this year. Thank you to the family.
In addition to those 25 members, we are also welcoming 5 donors who chose to remain anonymous. And not everyone wants public recognition, and that's perfectly fine, but I would encourage you, if you do include us in your estate planning, let us know. We don't have to publicize it. But first and foremost, we want to thank you. And secondly, it helps us keep you updated on what the foundation is funding, what we're doing, and activities. And so we'd love to include you if that's the case. So, in closing, do you have some closing remarks about these folks?
Well, I do. The airplane noise has quieted down. This wall is going to be here for a great long time. I'm pleased to be part of it. I encourage all of you to think about it, how it can be part of your estate planning at whatever age, whether it's $1 or more, it doesn't matter. Being part of the future of aviation, what matters to future aviators as they come along. Being part of this, really special. Thanks, gang.
Thank you all for your participation. We appreciate it. And I again want to thank you for your ongoing support of the AOPA Foundation.